podcast. Got an episode with Jordan Peak, and thanks for joining me, bro.
Oh, no, pleasure, sir.
I know you've had obviously a quick, brief discussion. But yeah, like tell me about where you're from and like how your music journey started, and a bit about yourself, like
Okay, well, I'm originally from the Isle of Wight,
Yeah,
which is a little island on the south coast of England. And music-wise, my dad used to have a lot of the early Ministry of Sound and like Kiss FM CDs. And so, as well as having your more kind of mainstream dance stuff on there, there'd also be like stuff by Todd Terry. Well, I guess that he had like a lot of stuff that did cross over, but there was also like Todd Terry, DJ Sneak, Masters at Work, loads of stuff on there. And so I was exposed to it from a really, really young age. Because when I speak to like a lot of people and like a lot of peers, they tend to get it like a little bit later. But because my dad had these CDs, like driving in the car to school, I'd just be exposed to it from a really young age. And I got into DJing at 13.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so I had like a couple of belt drive turntables, just like really cheap
Wicked.
ones, like from a super young age.
Yeah,
And obviously, like, before you kind of understand music a bit more and like understand the taste and selections, I'd have like some hard house records, I'd had some trance records, I've had some house record, like just complete mishmash all over the shop, but just non-stop learning to beat match, like completely in my room. Did that for a long time. Played my first ever gig when I was 16 out at like an under 18s night.
classic.
so,
Yeah.
so it was me playing house music, and then all the other DJs played drum and bass, and
Wait,
and I've never forgot it.
it sounds like you've had the same upbringing as I have, because my dad
Yeah,
did
yeah.
the same with the Ministry of Sound, the annual one up to two, annual one, two, and three.
It used to be like Boy George and Pete
Yes,
Tong, and yeah.
the green one. Yeah, I listened to that. My dad did exactly the same thing.
Yeah. But so like first ever gig when I was 16, like playing out. I played like house music for an hour and completely cleared the floor. Because obviously like, when you're younger, you want the energy and stuff.
Yeah,
but it was all drum and bass, me house music, no one danced. And then as soon as the other guy came on drum and bass, he's like, hey, the party's going again.
Yeah.
So that was like 16. And then I always wanted to make my own records as well, but like never actually, just kind of knew what to do. And finally got into it at 18 and kind of never really looked back,
Yeah.
Started on a version of Cubase, tried that out for a bit, played around with Logic, tried that out for a bit, and then found Ableton and I just stuck with that. And like I say, just lots and lots of time spent practicing and trying out sounds and listening to records and like, how was that made? Oh, okay, that's that kind of sound. Oh, this is how you kind of recreate it, like reverse engineering. And then that's it. That's basically how it's been.
So let's go back to like when you got your first set of like belt drives and stuff, because I remember getting mine. You might remember this. Argos did the DJ mix software, like the little shitty kit, right, for like £150 or whatever it was. I got that, and I got some Stanton vinyl turntables. But what like as you got belt drives, what were the first sort of records you purchased to play on them?
Like I said, it'd have been stuff on completely all over the shop.
All over, just anything.
From things, So from things like Todd Terry to like nuclears and tidy tracks like hard house. So you're going from like 120 BPM to sort of like 140, like 150 BPM.
Yeah.
Some trancey bits, some garage, even like some drum and bass bits. Just collecting. Collecting. But then, and not even because I say when you first start out, like it's not like now where you can literally just go on YouTube and you can learn everything, anything and everything you need to know music wise and production wise. You've got it at your fingertips. And like I say, 13 years old, not even kind of sure of BPMs and not understanding that Todd Terry won't necessarily mix like beat match into a Ronnie Size record or like a Dillinger record because the BPMs are completely out. But yes, it was just literally anything and everything I could get from record shops near me. I think there was like an HMV that I'd used to go to and like buy stuff from, and then also online from Hard to Find Records, which I think was in Birmingham. I'd get a lot of stuff from there, and HTFR, because I used to get the catalogs through as well. If you bought something once from them, then every sort of 4 months, no, every like season change, you get like a catalogue through, like just to like say, oh, this is what we got. Let's get your gear and stuff, get your kit, get your records.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because like, I think through the age of how old are you, Jordan?
I'm 36.
36. So around about the same age, and from that early teenage, drum and bass was really in, wasn't it, at the time? I mean, it's always been in, but it was really like, as kids, what we would listen to. You know, like the old school, like say Dylan Jar, DJ Hype, Zinc, all sort of people. So
Aphrodite is another one, like a massive one that I used to like a lot.
You know, and I mean, I still love drum and bass now to say. I think drum and bass is like one of the core like sort of things of any sort of UK child growing up with music, right? But going into like, because I did the same thing for like 16th birthday parties. When you're at school, you're like, oh, I DJ, and everyone's like, can you do my 16th birthday party and stuff? So, like, how did that go? Doing that? Did you take like your turntables and do that? Did you get lights and stuff? Because I bought shitty lights from like I say Argos. And how was that sort of thing for you?
I was going to say, no. It was actually like an under 18s night. So
actual proper night.
Yeah. So
it
was. No, that's fine. It's one night that someone put on out of like the group of friends and everything, and so I literally just got to turn up and like play stuff. So it's like really, like you say, normally your kind of first gigs, it's you're having to bring everything, you're having to bring your gear, you have to bring the whole system. But yeah, no, luckily the first ever one, I just turned up records, but then like I say, no one liked it. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like I've had this conversation with a lot of people is, say you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, and you say like people like Ricardo Villalobos or Zip or these kind of, you know, uber cool people, who that's who you're really into now. And I'd love to see, no one's really getting into that from like a young age. No one's getting into that at like kind of 13, like maybe like 90% of people. When you are younger, you need that faster kind of energy, or kind of more sounds. It's just how it is.
And did you obviously growing up from like when you got your turntables, like, do you and your friends used to like throw parties as well? Like, what was it like in Isle of Wight to throw parties and stuff?
Nothing. Like, there's nothing.
Huh? Yeah.
I think there was one, and then like a couple here and there, but nothing regular.
Yeah.
Nothing regular. Like you kind of hang out, and it was mainly just mixing at your friends' houses. Yeah, you know what I mean, it's my dog's just come over here and like come to say hello. That's why I've like leaned over to the side.
That's cool, man. Dog can come on the show too. Yeah, because I had the same sort of thing. Like I actually grew up on an island, the Isle of Sheppey.
Okay.
It's like just off of like Kent.
Okay.
It's not the nicest place, but it's getting there.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and like a lot of me and my friends used to just like buy some speakers and then like just go in the field and do parties and stuff, you know. And I didn't know if it was like that on Isle of Wight as well.
There is a few people that did that, like a couple, but they were a little bit older.
Yeah.
They weren't like sort of 16 and stuff. Like, because there's, I think, because I say I'm massive into history, and I think the more you look back, the more you realize actually things don't really change that much.
Yeah.
Like we were chatting before this, and we were saying about the technology and everything and stuff, but people still went to nightclubs in the 70s. People still went to nightclubs in the 60s. People still went to nightclubs and went to parties in, like, you know, forever. And even if you think about like kind of disco music, what is disco? Like, why is it even called disco? It's a 4/4 beat, very similar to house, but rather than a drum machine, it's like an acoustic drummer. But I've completely lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah, that's it. But yeah, like that's fine. Yeah, I'll jump all over the place. And
Bro,
stuff.
this is casual. This is not structured in any way. Right. This is so relaxed and cool, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I always call like disco music, I call it ADM, like acoustic dance music, because like rather than electronic dance music. But no, I think when you look at when the rave scene kind of first started, like there was parties everywhere, and you'd say like you see like people like Carl Cox, he'd be playing all over drum and bass, like hardcore, everything and stuff. And there's and like you say, you'd have like these raves and clubs pop up everywhere because there wasn't the internet, there wasn't it wasn't so easily accessible. You actually had to go out and hear it. And on the Isle of Wight, there was a couple of places. I think there was one called the Fort, which I'm like too young for, and like Livingston's. But the Golden Hill Fort was the one, because I think Tony DeVitt played there. I think Mr. C played there. I think Fabio and Groove Rider played there. I think Carl Cox played there. But again, that's like a little bit old. I was just way too young, like to go to these. But I'm like, I wish I had. But this is before like people would have known their names.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and stuff. And like they had been, to get in. I remember, like I say, because being from the South Coast, and I had some friends in Bognor Regis, and there was an old club called Empire, I think there, back in like the 90s. And then when I played there, it was Mud Club. So this was a few years later. But I found this mix online from like the really early 90s. I think it's like maybe like 91, 92. And it's Richie Hawtin. And it's like for $5 to get in. Wow. It's Richie Hawtin, like £5 to get in. And something like I managed to find a mix online. And it's like there's an MC like MCing over as well. And he's just playing like house like really fast, and I was like, wow, this is insane. This is like
it's mad, because we had a guy on the show called Fat Media Dave is his Instagram page, and through COVID, I'm going to go on to this because obviously you mentioned Carl Cox in the old times, but he's got like the biggest flyer database like in the world for all the flyers from them days. And back in the day, people used to throw them under your like your windscreens, fucking wind wipers. But now they're collectibles, and they're worth like, there was one in Birmingham, and there's like, a few like a lot of flyers now that are on there that are worth so much money. They're going for £1,000 now, and people are digging in there like in their lofts to try and find these like these flyers they've got and stuff. And Craig, who I used to do the podcast with, he had them all like in like sleeves. And I'm like,
oh, really?
And I'm like, bro, what? And he lives over here in Canada. We met for work.
Yeah.
And I said, like, you kept these in good condition? He's like, I knew these were going to be like special one day. And he's like, but these used to be on the floor in the rain and whatever. But yeah, Fat Media Dave, if you check out his website, it's got all of them. And like you say, got Sasha, Digweed, Carl Cox, Fabs and Grooves, and all of them sort of people on it. And it was so cheap to get in then, and it was like, festivals were like, oh, we've got a big Ferris wheel here, and we've got the all these rides and stuff, and it was like, like you say, £5 to go and see these people.
It's insane. But like you say, that's kind of before it was even people thought about it as a career, like you know what I mean, or something to do. It's just always been a hobby. But we're obviously a little bit younger than that, and so when we'd have kind of grown up, it'd have been, you'd have had like kind of the Fat Boy Slims and the Chemical Brothers. So it was always kind of like, okay, these guys, you need kind of people to kind of cross over to like a bigger wide stream appeal, because then it all trickles down. But then that once those guys, they raise the bar for everyone else. So it might not be like necessarily the sound that you want to do, like exactly, but still puts it on that, okay, you can actually get booked and like regularly and stuff, like for gigging and things and that, and actually look at it as a career rather than just a hobby. And but no, I do love the old artwork for flyers. Like, I think one that's a classic, and I've seen like emulated a lot, is like the thing is Dreamscape.
Yeah,
where it's like the woman with the woman with like the kind of wireframe. Like, it just looks so good. It just looks so good, and it's, if you like electronic music and things like that, it'll kind of always fit.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, funny enough, we actually had one of the flyer designers come on the show as well, Junior Tomlin, and he what was he was saying when he had him on the show, you can watch it back if you want to, but he said when he was younger, he used to ride his bike to the clubs and so, I'll design your flyers for free. And then he used to go home, he used to have all this, he learned architecture, and he used to airbrush everything. Really? All these flyers, just airbrush them and then make them, And then he said, I never got paid, I never got any of this or that. He said, I just loved making the artwork and coming out with some. And again, like talking about the craft work and the Daft Punk stuff, he made like the electronic roboty kind of stuff for Dreamscape and other flyers like that. And Pez as well was another one. I've tried to get him on, but I've not managed to. But hopefully one day. But Junior Tomlin, like he was amazing to like listen how like these flyers went down. And he says people sort of started seeing my flyers on the walls in clubs, and he was like, oh, like people coming up to him and say, oh, can you do my flyer? He's like, I'm just a kid, like doing these things. And
I like that we're talking about this, but we actually never got to experience it.
Yeah,
this is a bit before us. But like I say, I think I think if you're really a fan, like you do like learning, you like looking about the history, because it's no different with films. It's like certain films will come along and like they'll change the game, they set a blueprint.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of everything, like whether you realize it or not, that's kind of what inspired, it like sets, like I say, the standard for it. And it's kind of all like a deviation of things and that. But yeah, those, I love the Dreamscape Flyer. And what's the other one? Like I say, yeah, with Junior Tomlin, I found his Instagram page randomly, and I'm like, oh wow, oh cool, like just going through his artwork and stuff. But yeah, you can see the massive influence it has on so many different assets of like artwork and things for that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like you, man. I'm a massive like geek when it comes to the history parts of. I love history, and I love like that kind of stuff about it as well. You know, not just the production side of it and DJing, but like everything that goes into like creating a really good night. And that kind of makes me go on to like, then, so what was your first night, you know, being 18, like in an actual club? How was that first experience DJing something like that, and then going forward from there?
How was it? In what way do you mean? How
like your first experience of like getting in an actual like adult club, like you know, over 18 and over sort of thing, DJing in front of a crowd?
Well, the very first ones like I got, well, they weren't like playing house and techno. It was just like your kind of local kind of cheesy kind of gigs and stuff. And I had to like play like all over the shop, and had to like speak on the mic and things and everything.
Oh, might work.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like I don't mind it. Like, you know, like I'm a bit of a character, a bit of a performer. So like, I've never minded it. Like at first I did a bit, but then it's just more a case of hearing your own voice. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Back like, so people, because of how your ears work and stuff, it's really weird. Is like so many people, if you do like phone WhatsApp things like now, because it's so accessible, it's like, oh, I don't sound like that, do I? Like, oh, yeah. But once you get over it, it's more a case of you being, I think, more like just being self-confident about it. But no, so I had to do that. I had to kind of say, oh, and happy birthday to like this, and you know, and it was kind of funny because I do like maybe like 5 or 6 hours. This is like first kind of paying gigs at like 18 and stuff. So I do 5 or 6 hours, but the first hour when it was dead, I got to play actually what I wanted, because it's like filling up and stuff. I didn't always play like some house stuff and everything. Nothing obviously like hardcore, but just some deeper, like groovy, like funky house and everything like that. But I'd always have a few people come in because they're not used to it and go, what's this terrible stuff? Like, just because it's not like obviously the pop music and things that they know and everything. But yeah, so that was the first ones, and it's just all good experience. Yeah, it's all good experience because like and I actually think I learned a lot from doing that, like how to actually like read a crowd and kind of just let's say it's experience of getting out there. But yeah, it was very interesting, but like, I wouldn't change it for the world. I still wouldn't change it for the world.
I asked this question because obviously this is big beneficial for a lot of people, and I feel like nowadays, you know, back when we were younger, we had to play the commercial clubs, do some of the mic work and do the party. And now it's not like that anymore. You know, you can have a good following, good social media and sort of stuff like that. But for anyone listening who's getting into DJing, like, you know, obviously you did the commercial side of stuff to build the knowledge and how to read a dance floor, like yourself.
Well, that's literally like the first one. Yeah. First one starting to get a play out. It's just like anything, is like, where can you, because at the end of the day it is work. Yeah, it's like you're just getting paid or not paid, like the first, you know, whatever, to play music. And like I say, it's because it's so easy accessible from the technology. Like you say, we grew up and having like belt drives and stuff, but now it's like you can buy it all in a box. And you can do it now, but it's a small little box. You know what I mean? It's literally like bit of plastic. Here's a USB. Bang. Do you know what I mean? So
wild, isn't it?
So it just is what it is. But I've seen like a lot of, if you're like first getting into it, I see there's like open deck nights and things like that people do, which wasn't a thing at all when I was younger. But it's just all good experience, because you know yourself, it's like you can mix in your bedroom all the time, but it's a bit different to being live and then knowing like when to put your foot on the gas with the music, if like you start deeper, like to go a bit harder, or like to ease it off, and then understanding kind of, am I playing a warm-up set? Am I playing like a headline set? Am I playing like the last set? And it's very different. Like if you're doing house, I know obviously house and techno for sure. It might be a bit different if you're doing drum and bass, or if you're doing like trance and stuff, it's a bit different. But you know yourself, if you've got a warm-up set and you're booked for like a house night or like tech house night, whatever, and you're playing super hard, like the first opening set, like you know, it's all experience, but you only get that from playing out and understanding, and maybe having like even like someone that's been there before and done it a bit to kind of help you and like give you like a mentorship and stuff and that. But yeah, there's a lot to it that people don't realize.
And I say to a lot of people,
fascinating.
Exactly, and like I said to a lot of people, and this is why I went to ask you, because obviously you got a great amount of knowledge about it as well.
Oh, thank you.
That's all good, man. A lot of people say, I think with social media now, everything's so ready, like you say, really available, and everything shows the highlights of how successful something can be in a 15-second video. But I say to people, warm-up sets, I think, are the best sets. You get to learn how to bring people in, keep them there, and like you say, what you're explaining, it would be good for someone who wants to get into DJing, because you're explaining that it's a good experience. Don't think it's a bad thing or you're not getting anywhere because of that.
Yeah.
Like you said, you learn it as you go and just enjoy the ride and the moment of it.
We're all human, and we all like want to be. If you're into something, you want to be good. And like I'm a perfectionist, and if I do something, I want to be the best at it. It's just how I am. Whether it's been sport, whether it's whatever, it's just how I am. But you got to look at like social media, which is obviously massive and stuff now. But you got to remember, social media is just like advertising, and it's just the highlights.
Yeah.
And it's just literally post the highlights and stuff. But a highlight is completely different to like the actual night itself. And you kind of got to remind yourself that. And that's all it is. But like I say, it's knowing the experience of, like I say, doing a warm-up set, doing different things, understanding, okay, when I first started playing out and first starting getting like some regular house like gigs I wanted to play, not the kind of more kind of what I make and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would literally like plan every single track and every single mix and everything, just because I want to be good.
Yeah.
And in your head, obviously, is this would be great. This will work well. But then you got to factor in, okay, well, what did the guy play before me? What did the guy and what's the crowd like? Sometimes is you might have like a really techie set, but then actually they're not kind of working to this. They seem to kind of like the more disco-y loopy samples and stuff, or something a bit funkier, or do I have to play a bit vocal? Because again, I'm not playing, like I say, this isn't a Fabric, or this isn't like a Panorama bar gig. This is like a different place. And I always think that the hardest gigs, kind of like what have to make you work to kind of work a crowd and stuff, is now the gigs you get that aren't places that got a regular scene, if that makes sense. Yes, so it's like people like in small towns or small places, and they're not really known for like house and techno, but it's this local crew that are putting a party on. And I always say those ones actually show who's actually a really good DJ.
Yeah.
Because like it's not like going to Fabric, or it's not where obviously it's still like hard and stuff, still good, but people are used to it. They're coming to expect it. Whereas this one, you'll have like maybe a handful of people that like it, and then the rest of the people have just turned up. Is like, what's this? Where's the words? Like, have you got any Rihanna? Have you got a Beyonce? Like, But even then, I've been in like some massive clubs and like massive big parties, and but like I say, that's the actual art of it, and that is the skill of it, and it is an art form. But you don't necessarily maybe get that coming through on Instagram and TikTok and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, going from like them parties and progressing through your career from that young age, like what was the next steps in your career moving on from that?
But the thing was, to me, is like knowing kind of what's the next step and how to get out there. And like, I mean, there's so many ways. Like, there's not one set rule for everyone.
Yeah.
Is it? And it's like, it's like in all facets of life. There isn't one set rule. It's kind of what works for you and stuff. And but I knew that I wanted to go down like the production route and kind of working more on my stuff, just because I wanted to have like my own bits I wanted to play. Because I'd be like, I kind of like this record and I like the kind of sounds and that, but this is what I do with it. Do you know what I mean? And it's always another avenue, is just investing time and hours and effort into making your tunes and trying to get them on the labels that will hopefully, get you some gigs and things. But that was the next step. I think, this is why I kind of really went into it. Is when I was 18, there was a competition to DJ at this festival where I live. It's called the Bestival.
Bestival,
Bestival. Yeah. It was this amazing. It was this amazing festival where I live. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get like a set. and I got through to the final, but then on like the final, I didn't win. And I was like, right, the only way I'm going to get some proper gigs is if I actually like really throw myself into making tunes.
Yeah.
So like, that was like the catalyst of like, right, if I really want to start actually playing out a lot, which I do, just because I enjoy it and I want to share, like, oh, check these cool records out and check this stuff I've made out. Then yeah, so I just really threw myself into it, and just spent a lot of time making terrible music.
Again, now we're gonna go into that because it falls the same as DJing, right? You know, you go through like some terrible parties, you go through some terrible mixes to get where you want to be. So then when you got into production, how did you like learn production then? Because obviously YouTube wasn't readily available as it is as much now with like lessons.
Oh yeah, for sure. So sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, how did that like sort of
when I started, there was things like there was some magazines. So there's like I think there was Future Music, Computer Music, and Sound on Sound as well. But I mean Future Music has been around for years because there's a really famous sample CD that was like in the late 80s, early 90s. And so many like iconic dance tracks, like you'd be amazed, have all got like been taken from that sample CD.
Yeah.
Like I think there's this one old jungle record, Origin Unknown, Valley of the Shadows. And I was like the really cool riff on it is just off the sample CD.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's like pitched up a little bit and chopped and stuff. But I mean, yeah, just getting magazines, practicing bits, and that's it. Just a lot of time, and like I say, reverse engineering, listening to records that I like and thinking, okay, how is that sound made? Like, what is that sound, and how did you get there? And when I first started, it was like it took me about like I think a year and a half. But I wasn't happy with anything I was making at all. I just didn't like anything. And it wasn't until someone gave me like this sample CD with like Roland 808 and 909 drum sounds on. I was like, this is what I've been trying to make. Like, because I realized like, oh yeah, this is where all of house music comes from. Is like basically these drum machines, especially the early stuff. I mean, there are other drum machines and stuff that are used. I think like a 707 and things, but a lot of it does break down to is like getting the core things right, like the core ingredients. And so much of it is drums.
I was telling people here, actually, you might remember this. We used to buy like Rice Krispies or just any sort of cereal. We used to have Dance EJ, the CD.
Yes. I
watched a YouTube video on it the other day, like of like how all the songs that came with it, like demo songs. It weren't that bad.
No.
Yeah.
There's good and bad of everything.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could even like it'd be worth now trying to find those sounds and like trying to see, can I use this and stuff and everything, because that's the way you stand out basically, is if you're making music, is that you've got to think of like what's your palette, like what's your ingredients that you're putting in. And this is why I say is like I think the technology dictates what you'll generally get. And things now like Splice like is a platform where it's like you pay like a monthly subscription and right, here's all these sample packs, and then you got to think everyone that uses it, well, these are all there for them. So kind of if everyone's just using the same kind of stuff, it's like, well, different and stuff, but you're basically all coming from the same palette. Like there's a lot of stuff you hear now, which okay, the same vocals, the same loops, the same things and stuff. I mean, does it really matter at the end of the day? I guess not, but I don't know. I just think it's going to help you stand out a bit is if you're going for more obscure places.
Yes. And
like the harder to find stuff, and either through making your own riffs and stuff, or like finding these like really random obscure sample CDs. Like EJ would be amazing. I bet there's some like amazing sounds on there that you could get out.
Some cheesy sounds. But
there'll be some cheesy stuff, and there'll be some amazing stuff.
Exactly.
Well.
Yeah. That's like with your first. It's kind of I like asking this question. Like with your first tracks that you made. How was your sound from the first track to what your sounds like now? Like, have you ever compared like your latest track to like your first ever?
I can't even find like a lot of the early stuff. I just can't find it at all.
No.
But I remember it was called Underbelly, the first ever song. But it never came out on anything because again, it's just like the first ones you made, and I was like, but funny enough is like I say, things go in cycles, and I've noticed that a lot of kind of what I'm making now is I'm actually going back to stuff I'd really liked to done when I was 18. Because I finally, like, through years of like doing it, and also kind of your sounds, like years of doing it, knowing how to get those sounds and knowing how to get, you know, the techniques to do them. But also, like I said, like things are secular in the, like every 10 years, like a cycle of change of what's popular and everything. And I'm starting to notice like certain sounds coming in a few records. So I'm like, right, I can get there ahead of them. Like, this is cool, right? Bang, quick, back in the studio and start making some of this stuff.
Yeah. That's age as well. It helps us with that as well, right?
Well, it's experience. Like experience is like the one thing you can't buy.
Yeah.
Like it really isn't. And I'm massively into martial arts and like boxing and like MMA and jiu-jitsu and everything and stuff.
Yeah,
and once you do it, is you realize is that even though obviously like no way like a black belt at jiu-jitsu and stuff, but my coach would always tell me is like the only difference between a white belt and a black belt is literally the years they spent doing it. That's literally the difference.
Yeah.
You do the same stuff. It's just one guy's done it forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So
still the same guy, still puts his trousers on the same day. Yeah. Like,
it's no different to, like I said, like I don't play the guitar, but imagine like day one playing a guitar versus year 10 versus year 15 versus year 20. Like you're doing the same stuff. It's just you've mastered it and you've honed it like so far.
Yeah.
And making music's exactly the same. Like it's really no different, even if it's electronic. And even things like, again, like being into psychology, not so much the sound creation of like say the synths and everything, but even going concept wise, like I might lose a few people like when I talk about this, but you could do a song where you create every single element, like say I create every single drum pattern, I create every single synth, I even write the vocals. Or you could do a song where, okay, I've decided to sample things. I've tried like, okay, this is actually a sample, this is a sample, this is a sample, this is a sample. And there's no right or wrong over which is better and which sounds better. Even in doing, say, a song where it's okay, it's really simple. I'm going to make a song that's really simple and stripped back. It's just this and this, versus I'm going to do a song that's much more complex. Like this changes, this comes here, this drops out. It's got about 7 different layers. There's no right or wrong. Yeah. But I think if you're making stuff, one, it's more interesting to do both. Otherwise, you're not just making the same record over and over and over and over again. Because one, it gets boring. Like for me, it gets boring. But yeah.
do you ever like make different genres to obviously keep the creative mind going for creating your like you totally. Do house and techno, so you ever go making drum and bass or garage or
when you say garage, like I've got a lot of kind of speed garagey bits under my name now already, but I've made like a lot of jungle stuff, but I've just obviously not put it out just for fun. And like when you start there's my dog on the side. When you start learning those techniques, there's no reason why you can't bring those sounds into house. Exactly, and there's no reason why you can't do it. And then that's, you know, that is basically speed garage is really like jungle and drum and bass at like a housey tempo.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised people love it. We're like, oh, bass line, yeah, it's from drum and bass.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like I said to people who produce techno. I'm like, listen to some jump up drum and bass, you know, with a really harsh synths, distorted synths. I said, because you can put that into like techno.
You could put stuff into anything. It's just, do you want to do it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So moving on, like from then into your career, like what was the next steps in your career after all that?
Basically, it's getting stuff signed and getting on labels that kind of help, because even then it's like you're not guaranteed to get anything from them, but it doesn't help to make as many friends as possible. Get out and meet people, because it's like I say, sending off out to a label is how do you get that label's attention. No different to how do you get gigs, how do you get that promoter's attention. And just because you've made something and you've like, oh, I've made this for your label and stuff, it's like it's got all the sounds you'd like. Just because of how we are as people, they might not like it at all.
Yeah,
it might be like, oh god, this is horrible, whatever. But it's even just getting your foot through the door. So you'll know, even with, like you say, big dance music people, like they tend to be DJs, and they tend to like run their own label and stuff. So if you can just get out to a few parties and try and meet them and stuff, and even, you know, that's the way. And I did that a lot, just because one, I wanted to see them and hear them play and everything, and meet them and stuff. But I did that with, I think it was Nick Fanciulli, like years ago. I like warmed up for Steve Mack, who was like one part of the Rhythm Masters. So like I love the Rhythm Masters. They're so good, so good. But I warmed up for him at a gig, and then he heard me playing. Oh, I like the stuff you're playing and everything, and I got to hang out with him. And then managed to meet Nick Fanciulli through him, and then just started sending Nick some stuff, and, you know, sent him a lot and whatever, and he picked out like certain ones that he liked. And then that was my first like saved. Before I had the EP, I had like one on a compilate, like a VA, various artists comp thing.
Yep.
So I had something on that, and then I had an EP on saved.
Brilliant.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Nick Fanciulli's amazing, like amazing. And
he's a great guy.
Yeah, really.
I warmed up for Mark Fanciulli, and even
Mark. I know Mark.
Well.
I did a track with Mark like years ago, years and years ago on Dutch label. But yeah, I mean, they're all really sound. I say most people are sound.
It's amazing, like you say, what the music scene can bring. Like Nick brought so much to Maidstone, because I lived in Sheppey, didn't have nothing there. Maidstone, bringing like the social and bringing big headliners to like a small town. Yeah, it's just insane. Like, you know, and people where we're from, like the smallest sort of areas, we managed to get to see people like that without having to travel miles and miles and miles to, you know, to visit these people. But going on from like what you're sending to labels, what would your advice be for like, say for me, example, I've got one track, my first ever track I've ever made. How do I approach, you know, going towards a label and drafting an email? You know, do you have to have a press pack? Like, how would that?
Sure.
Yeah, how would your advice
I think one is be nice and be like sound and understand. It's like, I get like, even now I get like a lot of people send me stuff and demos and that, and it's just a link, not even saying hello. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, one, it's like rude. I'd never do it. At least say who you are and a bit and stuff ever. But I think it's like anything, it's not easy, and you've really got to want to be in it. You've got to have a bit of drive behind you and stuff. It's like you say, right, even if you don't want to say like be like a A-list international headliner, but you still want to do like okay and start getting your like some steps in, still got to have a bit of drive, because it's no different like being an actor and like going for auditions and stuff. It's like you're not kind of going to get the Oscar film at the start. It's like well, maybe, but you got to kind of like chip your way into stuff to build up, and it's very, very similar. It's very similar in that regards. But just be decent, just be kind of respectable, but do it all. Like I say, is try and get as much information on who looks after those labels, like whoever like is the A&R or who like runs them and stuff. Send them emails, send them some Instagram and stuff and everything, Instagram messages, whatever. Send them some SoundCloud ones. You don't need a press pack. It's just literally, hi, this is me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a DJ producer, whatever, and I really like this and this from your label. So already it shows, okay, I actually know some bits, and then here's some stuff of mine. Can you please have a listen? Like, you know.
I mean, I know. Also, I know it's kind of simple, but I've had some.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say,
fine.
It's Zoom as well. Zoom cuts like a little bit.
That's fine.
But like some people have asked me, they're like, "Do I need to get like professional photos done for me Instagram?" Yeah. So I'm like, not really. No, they're not in it for your pictures. They're in it for your music, you know. And that's why I said like the press pack thing, because like
completely. I get you. No, but it's a good question to have. Like, it's a very good question to have. But you might need that eventually if it goes like, okay, we need a release. Like, okay, we've got these, and then like when they send it out to press, you might need that and stuff. But that's not important. It's like I say, it's the music that matters first. But I'm just saying, is like just use every avenue you can. Like use literally every avenue you can. Is like do that, but also do not rule out at all going to try and meet them in person and being like decent, because that's going to help. At least like you can put a face to the name. And if like you're an all right person, they can see, oh, that person's actually driven and that person cares and whatever and that. Hopefully that should help stand you out rather than like the thousands of emails or the thousands of ones that like they get and stuff. So you can always, you know, it's just anything you can do to stand out basically. But that's what I would recommend to people, is just do it all.
or do like in boxing, like where you call someone out and then tag them in on an Instagram video.
I don't know how that'll work out.
Listen to my track.
I don't know how that'll work out unless it's like amazing and stuff. But yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe
I just thought of it at the top of my head. I thought maybe because we said we both like martial arts and stuff.
I love it. Yeah.
And boxing. I thought, well, how can we incorporate that into music? Well, maybe call them out video. So with like producing, then, like, how do you get? I'm asking these questions because you're a wealth of knowledge, and I want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, sure.
But like, just being very productive on the day. I know every day is not going to be a successful production day in the studio.
That's all right.
But what techniques do you use to kind of get past like writer's block or producer's block, or does your music reflect on your mood that day? Like, how do you kind of get the right mindset? And what techniques do you use to get in that to produce in the studio?
To me, it's more, like I say, coming up with ideas and things like that. And it's like you can never know when you're going to get a good idea from. Like, you can really never know. And I've started learning to. It's going to sound funny, but I'm a massive film lover. I love films, and I love, like, the same with music, and not just that, but how they're made, the actual art of it, and everything. And my music actually got so much better once I started studying films, not the actors and things, but the actual story writing and the structure of it, and like what a typical Hollywood movie is. Like, we're like a 3-act structure. You have like a beginning, a middle, and an end and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And the second act, when the second act comes in, because it's no different. Is like there's a stage is say you've got like your latest song. The writing process is like, say, okay, this is what the drums are going to sound like. This is the bass line. This is what that's going to sound like. If there's any vocals or vocal samples, this is what that's going to sound like. That's good. But then I say it's taking that loop and then structuring it into a song.
Yeah. So
it has like, so it doesn't just stay here the whole time. It's like, okay, it could come out, drop in, or creates a bit of interest, and then bang. And then, so there is a lot to it. Because even with the most basic minimal song, if you're good at arrangement and you know how to structure and keep it interesting, you could have like the most basic elements, but if you understand how to keep them engaging and keep it interesting. And the funny thing is like I say, once I started understanding traditional storytelling, I was like, oh my God, it's exactly the same as music. Yeah. It's like, rather than a lead actor and like, like the hero of the story, you just change that for like, oh, it's the bass line, or like the synth is that for the story. These are the main parts. Everything else is supporting it. And also studying traditional songwriting. I know like what is like electronic music with samples, but if you think of like what's a traditional song, it's like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Mm-hmm. It's no different to like electronic music. Like if it's a club thing, like you'll have like intro drums, maybe that, then a drop, then that, maybe another drop, and then you're home and it's done.
Yeah.
So not just the actual techniques and like your synthesis, how do you make the synth sound, but also study just arrangement, because I think like arrangements are so important. Like it's really, really so important. Like really so important. I've seen a lot of people say this online recently and stuff, and like, because again, I watch a lot of interviews and stuff, and Disclosure said this, and a few other people said it's just try and copy the people you like. If you're really starting out with stuff, it's try and copy the people that you like, but put your own spin on it. And basically, I think that is every form of art. Whether you realize it or not, that is literally like from like Tarantino to like Drake to everyone. See who you like, understand what makes them good, do that, but put your take on it, and and that's it.
I love a Tarantino film.
I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible.
Buddy, mate, yeah. Have you watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's good. You've seen John Wick 4 as well?
I haven't seen the latest John Wick one.
Amazing.
I've seen like 1, 2, and 3, but I need to check out 4. But yeah, I haven't seen the latest John Wick one.
Incredible.
Because I think Keanu Reeves has like a band and stuff. I know like a few people do like.
Yeah, he's.
I think Johnny Depp has a band.
No, I know Keanu Reeves has a little bit involved with the music side of it.
Does he? Okay.
I read it online. Anything online could be false or true, but I read online that he's put a lot of money into that sort of side of stuff.
Like going back into like
motorcycles, going
back to the music. John Carpenter, he did like directed Halloween and The Thing, and Escape from New York, and what else? But he does a lot of the music for his films. And it's like, it's all synthwave. Yeah, it's all really synthwave. So if you like Stranger Things and you like the music from Stranger Things, check out John Carpenter, because it's like, he's like, not only has he directed and like wrote stuff, he's like, yeah, I made the music for the films as well.
That's cool as fuck. Yeah, I never knew that, so that's good to check out. Actually,
yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, if you like the Stranger Things theme, you'll probably like a lot of his stuff. It's
that's cool. So going on production things, then you got your track signed by Saved and things like that. So what was the next part of your career moving on from that?
It's basically is just trying to build a name up for yourself. Like I said, it's like how do you become a draw? Like how do you basically show that to promoters that come and book me for a set.
Yeah.
it's just getting your name out there, and just any way you can do it, I think is good. Is just use what you can. Like it's not gonna be the same route for everyone. It's just find out what your niche is and what you bring to the party versus what do they bring to the party.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's like it might be one person like, oh, I really want to make tunes, but I've literally got no way to do it. Like I haven't got a laptop, haven't got this, I don't know anything. I just want to play music. Well, okay, cool. If that's what you're going to do, then you've got to work out what's your thing to do it. But mine was basically just trying to make tunes and get on the labels that I really wanted to release on.
Yeah.
That I'd like playing my sets from. And that was it. And like I say, it took a long time. But again, nothing comes overnight.
Exactly.
It really doesn't. It's time and effort.
What was like your would you say would be your most favorite successful track that you've made?
All of them.
That's what I want to hear. Yeah.
No, I don't single any of them out because it's going to sound funny, but I'm actually always on to the next one. I'm always like I never really look back. I don't get nostalgic for things at all. I just don't. I really don't know why, but I don't. But it's always like my favorite one is actually the next thing I've made, or like next thing I'm working on. But it just is because it's like I did a set like a couple of months ago, and I've started now got to the point where I say, well, I've done it a long time and everything is that basically now my sets are pretty much like 95 to close to like 100% like all my own stuff. Because I'd love to do live. I'd love to do a live set, but I'm just no good that way. Like, but I can DJ all my stuff out, but I'm not good. I can program it and sit down. If I had to be there and like, oh my God, here's a sit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I had to do like chemical, but I just couldn't do it at all. But again, well, how are you going to stand out that way? Well, that's one way is like everything you've made. But again, that's not many people can do that. So I wouldn't suggest that to everyone.
That's fantastic that you do that. And it's like you say, that's a great answer when you said like all my tunes are my favorite, because some people say, oh, I don't like this, but I did it anyway. And that's the best answer ever. Is that best answer ever when you said like I love all my tunes. I don't have any that I don't like.
I wouldn't say I love all of them, but I mean it's just like I don't have a favorite. Like I don't have a favorite at all. Because it's a funny thing is like I said, you can sit down and design and like make something for someone and like, oh, well, you like a big snare roll, you like a dirty bass line, you like this kind of vocal, and I put it in and I go, here you go. Oh, what, you don't like it? Oh, right. like you just can't tell. Like music's one of those like funny things where there's one of the labels I've released on recently actually, and it's from hearing him out. And I always analyze it. I can't help it. And I was listening to his set and I was like, right, okay, he puts a lot of snare rolls in his stuff. So I made him a tune with a snare roll in. And when I sent it to him, he was like, oh, this is amazing. Doesn't need the snare roll though. And I'm like, what?
What do you do?
I'm like, what? How's that work out? It's like when I heard you played about like 7 or 8 tunes. It was like, okay, cool. He's like, take the snare roll out. I'm like, cool. Oh, cool. Awesome. Signed. Bang. So again, it's just one of them funny things. It is one of them funny things where just put the sounds that you like in, and then just hope for the best. That's literally all you can do. Yeah. That's literally all you can do.
That's amazing. And what was like the best? Well, you probably guess all sets are the best, but what was the DJ set that stood out to you the most? Like that you sort of was most like, impacting to you? Where you thought, "Wow, this is
what one that's like really special to me." Is like the first time I got to play at Fabric, because like that club's like been going there for years, and I think it's kind of. I always think for the UK, they kind of do lead the way with a lot of things when it comes to like underground music and stuff and everything, and like in terms of who's like really influential. And so many people, like I've had so many of the CDs over the years and the mixes and stuff, and so that was like really nervous for me. It's like I do get quite nervous like sometimes anyway, but I was like, oh my god, like really went over my set, like what can I play, what would be good. Then obviously happy to freestyle on a night, like okay, take it this way, take it out, whatever. But really that like really stood out to me. But I mean, every gig is like special in its own little way. And like I say, sadly, they're not always amazing. Sometimes you do just have a bad day at the office. It's no different. It's just is what it is. It just is what it is. But yeah, so probably the very first time I got to play at Fabric, that was like just really stood out to me. But also like saying that actually, like recently is the first time I was like, right, going to do a set of all my own stuff. That's it. Do you know what I mean? So that was really nervous because I was thinking, I put a rule on myself. It's like, right, I can't play anything from anyone else. And I'm thinking, this tune will go off, but I can't play it. I'm going to really like, this is actually going to be really like scary in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's like really personal. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, that was the worst set I've ever heard. Like, oh shit, I've made everything. Luckily that didn't happen. And I got so many vids of that night where it's just going off and off and off and off. Do you know what I mean? So, so that's really cool. But like basically what you're talking about is like milestones, isn't it? And I think everyone has their own little personal milestone.
Yeah.
But I just keep looking at ways that I can push it forward and like evolve myself, if that makes sense. And like take it to a next level.
What you've said there is perfect because again, social media plays a big aspect into a lot of the music scene. And like I said, like, people feel like they have to play like the bangers that they hear on Instagram for it to hit and stuff like that. But like you said, you stepped out of your comfort zone to then play all your tracks, and you thought, oh no, is this going to be a car crash? But but it was because people can pick it apart. But then you're like, everyone was banging at it, and you're like, oh my god, like the confidence and that kind of information is going to be great for someone who's listening.
I hope so.
I think so. Yeah.
But you've got to. But this is what I'm saying as well. Is like when I understood films and stuff and everything, like, because I've always known music should be like cliche, whatever, like people are actually into it, like should be a journey and stuff and everything. But you say about playing bangers, but it also depends on the gig that you get. Because if you're playing like a festival and it's like a massive thing and it's like 10,000 people, is like, that's not going to be a journey set. That's like, right, okay, banger after banger after, but that is literally, but is that the gig you're playing? Like, do you know what I mean and stuff? Are you just playing like a local one and stuff? And it's, it's knowing how to get the reactions out a set. And even again, like I said, like everyone loves a drop, everyone loves a build up. But if you play too many songs with build ups all the time, it can actually have like the complete opposite effect. It can have like the negative effect.
Yeah.
I've actually had that recently at a gig, and because again, it was like a hard gig I had where it was it wasn't a place. I still had fun, I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't a place where it was like a regular scene, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the sound system packed in as well. So like third tune in, I think the sub bass just went, and I was like, great. So all this stuff can still happen on the night.
Yeah,
like I think one of the times I played Fabric, like obviously Fabric's going to be amazing, but things still happen, and I was still playing vinyl at the time, and I think two of the turntables just packed up, and I had to get the sound engineer to come in and like bring different like turntables in. But I mean, yeah, so stuff still does happen, and you have to be able to roll with it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Is that the worst things that have happened, or has there been things that have happened even worse?
Mate, so much bad stuff has happened.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, of course it has. Like just like things from like sound system going off, taking like pressing stop on the wrong deck. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. But like just don't worry about it. Like no one comes out to have a shit night.
Yeah.
Like no one comes out to have a bad night, and it's like it shows that you're human and like you're trying. And I always say to people, like I've been guilty of it before, but if something like that had just happened, it's like, cool, whatever, cool, next one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, and again, like I revert back to it, a lot of this world now is focused on perfectionism, and
sure.
And you know what you're saying is totally normal. We are human. We do make mistakes, and equipment does fail, and it does happen. You just got to roll with it and just move forward with it, right?
So someone said to me, actually, that gig, like one of the gigs I did recently, where I played like the whole set was my stuff, like 2 hours, all my stuff, whatever. One of the guys said early, it's like, oh, I heard when the mix went proper train spot. He's like, I heard when the mix went slightly out and like whatever, but you got it back in. I was like, did it? I was like, I've learned to like not care. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's all right. He's like, but I was really impressed with the way you brought it back in. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, all right, thanks, yeah, cool, thanks. Right. That's all right. But it just shows us like just because a mix went slightly out, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just like if it happens. Right, okay, bring it down. Cool. Right, you having a good time? You having a good time? Yeah, let's party. I guess unless you do a train wreck and everything. But I mean, that's
a different story. But
that's
if in doubt, fade it out.
That's a bit different. But even in saying that, actually, one of the best nights I've ever had musically, like ever had, it was this party I went to years ago called Hip Shaker on the South Coast, and this was all like 70s and like Motown and stuff. So they're not like house or techno DJs or even disco DJs known for blending, whatever. But the music was amazing.
Love that music.
Because it was so good. But it was also like, I was like, oh, I know this song. Oh no, I don't know this song. Oh, I do know this song. Because again, it's all things that like Basement Jacks and Daft Punk, like they would have sampled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All they were doing was like one track, all right, that's finished. Next track, all right, that's finished. Next track. And I was like, that is literally one of the best nights I've ever had musically. And I was like, it actually made me look at music in a different way. And okay, you don't have to be the most technical, whatever. Now, it's literally is what elements are you playing? Like, is the bass line groove? You know what I mean? So that made me look at music in a different way. And like really focus in on like, what's a good hook? Basically, repeat that, take the bass out.
Yep.
Put the bass back in. There's the formula.
That's brilliant. And like moving forward, like what's your future plans for your music and stuff like that? Like what's in the pipeline?
Just keep looking to change the game. That's it.
Yeah. Just keep it fresh and mixing.
Just keep looking to change the game. And that sounds funny, but I've been songwriting a lot as well. It's because I don't just want to make beats. I've said this to so many people, is that like I don't want to just make beats, which is even if there's like a vocal snippet or there's like a like for instance like a hey here we go, hey or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that might be quite vocal to a lot of people, but to 8 out of 10 people that's still a beat. Do you know what I mean? Because they need like a verse chorus, whatever. I want to start doing some stuff like that, because I've only ever sampled bits before. But yeah, I'm just looking to work with the right vocalists, and I know how they need to sound in my head. I just need to meet the people and stuff and everything. Yeah. So start doing some of that. But yeah, just keep on keeping on basically. Keep making stuff and keep playing out. That's literally it.
So sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, so have you ever thought about for your love for movies and stuff, as you love movies and have you ever thought about, writing music for a short film or for anything like that?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, how are you going to get into that field? That's like a whole different field itself.
For sure,
yeah. You'd have to, like anything is. I'd like to do it, but that'd be quite an interesting thing to do. But it's like, well, it's like we're saying, okay, yeah, let's do this, but then what is the actual instep of the field?
Yeah.
But so no, if like say Steven Spielberg like managed to get my numbers, like, Jordan, can you make this for like the next one? I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I don't actually have him on WhatsApp, so it's a bit of a problem.
Just like, because I wouldn't say like short film, but like your two passions, combine them in some way, like maybe YouTube video or
I know it sounds funny, but to me, I already do in a way, like just because again is like when when I was playing some of the stuff I've been working on to a friend recently who's not really into dance music as well, and they listen to kind of things like Cardi B and just whatever's on the radio. They like listening to it, and I said, but I find it really cringy. Like if me and you are here and I'm like, oh, here, have a listen to this, I get really cringy about like just playing it to you and then like you were there and I'm like, oh my God, I can see if you don't like it or not. But if I played it to you and we were at a party, I wouldn't mind. But if you're like, oh, let me hear what you've been working on, and I'm like, oh no, I don't like it at all. I'm funny like that. But when I played it to him, I said, oh, your stuff's really like a film or really like a movie in a way, and that like you can hear this is the beginning, this is the middle, it drops out, and then this is like the end. I was like, well, it's traditional songwriting. It's just you take it and you put it to electronic music. But yeah, like I said, it even like sped up my workflow in that, like looking how a film is arranged and like actually a traditional song is arranged. It's exactly the same. There are certain rules. That you kind of apply, but how do you put your stamp on those rules, if that makes sense?
For sure, yeah. And how, like, going on from that then, like, how do you, if a label wants a deadline, do you meet that deadline, or do you say to them that I have to do this at the pace that I can do it? Like, how does that work? Because some people say I need this remix done by this time because it's going to be released. Like, how do you do you deal with that? Or
well, I'm actually really on the ball for a lot of things, so it's never normally a problem.
You're always thinking of the next song,
Yeah, I like getting stuff done, and this is the benefit as well. Say like remixes are different to originals because with someone offers you a remix, it's basically the rule is that there's only certain parts that you need to use. Do you know what I mean? So like I said, if someone says, oh, I want you to remix this, I'll listen to the song and then I'll listen to I'll think about, okay, I could do something with this. You got to listen to what's actually in the song, like what's the drums doing, what's the bass doing, what's like any synths that are doing, any like kind of melodies. Is there any effects in there, like kind of bits? I know it sounds funny and it'll sound pants on its own, but it's like, okay, could I use it? Is there any vocal snippets? But if you have stuff already in your locker for, like I say, some unreleased tracks, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, I could just use them, but let's say it's already something there. So again, at this time, this is why it helps to kind of be kind of active and like working on stuff. Or again, you can just build stuff from scratch. But it's like anything is, until you get into the field and actually doing it, you'll see that some people are more on the ball than others, and some people are a bit more lax and stuff. It's just how it is. It's just like, it's no different to anything in life. I did see an interview recently with like Lil Wayne, and he was talking about working on something with is it Machine Gun Kelly? I think the guy's name. And he says when he works with him, it's always like the day before. It's like, oh yeah, can you give us a verse for the next day? So it's like, it's nice to know that even in like fields which are the biggest kind of pop music stuff, there's still some people that are kind of like lastminute.com, whatever. But I just think is the more preparation you can do for anything, the better it is. Like practice and preparation. That's literally it. But yeah, it's just it depends. It's one of them, like it's like a piece of string. There's no real rules for it. It's just who are you working with.
Yeah, that's everything you said explains those. I think is absolutely fantastic sort of knowledge and advice.
I hope I haven't rambled on like completely.
No. I love your character and everything, and it's funny how like we've had sort of the same upbringing. Like Dad's play was Ministry of Sound. You get your first decks and you're like young, and same sort of thing, right? And the inspirations kind of thing, and love movies, and I've really enjoyed it. And like, is there any sort of advice you'd love to give to anyone, like say, whether it be DJing, producing, kind of being a promoter, or maybe in like a graphics designer to do artwork?
Well, because I've got my little label that I do and stuff, but it's I've got my own one, but it's literally just for me, because like I hate having to wait around. I'm not a very patient person. it's
Pete Tracks, right?
That's the one. That's the one. Yep. But I wanted it anyway, eventually. But it's always like 2 or 3 tunes for me, just so I can get these out. Because there were some other guys I really liked. I think there's a techno guy called Truncate, and I think he does a label as well where he's allowed other people on there. But the first kind of white labels he did, it was just him. I was like, well, that's cool. Like, you can put your own stuff out for like full creative control. and I like that idea. And there's another one guy called Object, who does a label just for his own stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I'll just do it. But I make all the art literally on my phone.
Same. Then, I do all of mine on Adobe Express.
Yeah. But again, it's also on my phone. But again, it's the concept, isn't it? Is like, it's really simple artwork. It's just my face, a little logo, and a thing like that. So it's actually really simple. Whereas if you wanted to do something more complex, I wouldn't know. Like, I wouldn't know at all. If it's like lots of, like I said, I couldn't imagine if you wanted to replicate some of the old like Dreamscape and those Rave flyers, because I've seen like a few different labels kind of have that now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have no idea where to start with that.
Yeah. 100%,
I have no idea. So again, it's like knowing your means, isn't it? It's no different to like making a song. Is that okay, I've got this song idea, but I want this big like piano section, and it changes a lot. I was like, well, can you play the piano? Do you know how to play the piano? I don't know how to play the piano. It's like, you know, unless you hang out with someone and you get them to play the piano, and then you use that. It's just like anything. It's like, know your means, know your limitations, know your pros and cons, and then kind of try and apply that way. So that would be my one for artwork, if anything, but I wouldn't even say artwork at all. But just advice is keep at it. We're all in the same game. That's literally it. If you like it, you'll keep doing it, and eventually it'll come. That's literally it.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go.
There is no shortcut. Like, there really is no shortcut for anything.
No, I watched an interview of Ed Sheeran. He said kind of like what you said earlier, which was use Instagram as a promotional tool. Don't use it for anything else. And you know, and like you going back to what you said earlier, like from, you know, getting the 909 and the 808 into a small box, like you just said, you know, you can design all your artwork on your phone. You can pretty much work your whole brand and business from your phone now. So you know,
well, if like the benefit of us is, like I said, is it's media. So media, like I said, is technology, and you can do a lot of the technology on your phone. And I did this like interview with someone before, and like I said, in the same way that like buying like a pair of Leo Messi boots aren't going to make you Leo Messi, it's the person in charge of it. Is that there was this track, it's a story about, there was a label called My Love Is Underground. I'm not sure if it's still going or not, but it's this guy who ran it called Jeremy, and he went to see Kerri Chandler play at like DC10, Circle Loco DC10. And Jeremy obviously knows all his tunes. He's like a real like proper head. And like in Kerri's set, he knew like pretty much all of them apart from one. And like I said, that one track just went off. And afterwards he asked like Kerri Chandler, said, oh, what's this track? Like, what was it that you played? That was amazing. He went, and Kerri goes, oh, it's just something I made on my phone on the airport, just like, you know, when I was waiting just in between and stuff. But again, it's like, that's Kerri Chandler doing it.
Yeah.
So he knows the sounds, he knows work, and again, like how to structure it, how, you know, but that's literally, but again, I wouldn't say to everyone, oh yeah, just stick to your phones. Just like make stuff.
Just showing examples, like,
there is, it's like, it's like anything. It's what are your resources and what can you do with it, basically.
No, man, I say I think, you know, you're a wealth of knowledge. Been following your music, like I say, I saw your name pop up and Save years and years ago, and and when I started this podcast, I was like, I don't want to go for the main, like, I want to go for all walks of life, but I was going through tracks on what, because I shipped my iMac over from the UK, which I bought in 2013, and I was going through, I got like thousands of tracks in there, and obviously I was going through like some stuff because I was DJ'd here a few times. I was like, oh, I'll go play some old stuff. And I saw your name pop up. I was like, oh, actually, I'd love to get Jordan on, actually, and kind of, you know, and stuff like that. And yeah, I really appreciate you giving me your time. I do. I mean, anytime. No one owes me their time, and in any way. And I appreciate every minute I get with someone that gives me their time. So,
no, mate, anytime. It's always interesting because, like I said, I wanted to start like collaborating with friends on music and like making stuff with people. Obviously, if I'm going to like do songwriting, I need to collaborate. But even in like terms of songwriting, I've started doing my own vocals on certain bits. But again, I know my limitations. It's like, I know I'm not a good singer, but if you need like a club track with like a vocal, then you can even manipulate it. You know, if you can manipulate it if you want it to sound robotic, or if it's just to like, you know, put your hands up, but then you can pitch that down, whatever. So I know my limitations, but it's just good to chat with people that are like music wise, because you know I can learn stuff from you. There's stuff I can learn from you as well.
I mean, that's the enjoyment of it all, isn't it? And
yeah,
like I say, you don't have to be a great singer, but if, like you say, if you structure it in the right places at the right hooks or the right drops and vice versa, it doesn't, you know, you can make it sound good, you know. And that's like you said, it's all about structure, right, and placement.
That's completely it. And also like concept wise as well is understanding. I just need a track. It's going to be a club track. Just need a track that what's the classic like Dan Bell, like I'm losing control. I can say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
losing control. I'm losing control. I could do something like that. Cool. I'm out of my mind. Right, pitch that down, bang. There you go, done.
That's exactly what I've done in the past.
Yeah, it just is what it is. But like I say, is know the concepts, know your limitations, and what to get. But if you said like, I want to make a song where it's like, take me to the next level. I'm like, I can't sing like that at all. I'm not good.
I'm exactly the same. Because I do it. I get a mic. I get one of these mics, and I'll go. I say something like, I don't know, everybody did or something like that. Yeah. And I'll listen to it, I go, that's automatically shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, no matter how much I tweak it, I think it's still crap. But then I listen to some vocals in some songs and they're just sounds actually the same sort of. And it's on a banger, you know, so it doesn't matter if you're good or not, really. I mean, you can find a great plugin that can assist you on,
you
know, and. But like you said previously in the podcast, is having confidence in yourself and knowing your limits and kind of working with your strong points. So
sure, if
you're good with like, you know, stick to that, you know, and then find a vocal that suits that.
But even then, it's like you actually like people don't realize, and I had this chat with a lot of people because again, I think it's understanding music and. Even things there's because obviously you're in Canada, but I think you had like didn't have X Factor, we had like American Idol and things, but in the UK we had like a Simon Cowell show called X Factor and things like that. And a lot of people is if you hear someone's a good singer, a lot of like kind of casual people go, oh, you should get on X Factor, you should do this and stuff. But I mean, whatever. But I mean, just because you're a good singer doesn't mean you can make a good song. There's a difference. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that's the art of songwriting. And that sounds funny, but even if you're doing like electronic just club tracks, you're still technically songwriting. You're still like making a song. It's just except maybe not the vocals, but you're doing it with beats and whatever. But it's a different skill. Like it really is a different skill. Look at like Daft Punk Around the World. It's got one word in it.
Banging track.
Well, no, it's not one word. It's got one phrase, but it's a robot voice. But it's still amazing. Do you know what I mean?
It's amazing. Yeah.
But if you went X Factor and did Around the World, I don't know if you get through or not.
Can you imagine that? I'm doing Daft Punk Around the World, and then
that's my karaoke song is Around the World.
Someone's like, go ahead. That's wicked. I appreciate your time, mate. And
no, anytime, mate.
I can't believe it's got dark there all of a sudden, really quick. How is it back in the UK, weather-wise?
Yeah, it's fine. It's typical UK. Is that the weather changes all the time. It's end of summer now, so it gets dark a lot quicker. But yeah, I've got to get out in the sun where it's nice weather, and I thought I'd chat to you here rather than being locked in. Because I've got a remix I'm working on at the moment for Josh Butler's label that I've just Josh is really sound. Like I really like him.
I love his sound. I absolutely love his sound. Always have
done. He's really good. I'm just doing a remix for him, and I was working on it inside, and I was like, I need to knock out to the shop and then get back. I was like, okay. Rather than being inside again, I'll come out for a bit. And like I say, now we've been chatting a while, it's got dark. So.
Yeah, no, it's wicked. And yeah, I love Josh Butler's sound. I love him. Like one of his tracks I really love is "Let Me Hold You" on Casual Records. Oh, mate, that's a banger of a track.
Legendary Casual.
Oh,
legendary.
Yeah, and yeah, oh, mate, yeah. I mean, there's so much good music out there now. And what do you think the style of music's like now? Do you think I've had this conversation with someone actually quickly before we finish up, but
that's right.
The sound of like music now, do you think people are trying to cram too much in right now instead of trying to focus on certain elements to stand out? Like,
you just notice trends. It's like anything. There's certain trends that come along.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing out for a while, and obviously been making music for a while, and you tend to notice it. Like 10 years ago, like you're saying, that 2011 to 2015, the BPM was a lot slower. Like even for house and stuff, and what's like considered cool underground house, it was a lot slower. So it was maybe like 125 BPM max. Like, do you know what I mean, and stuff? And that was the era when you'd have like a lot of ravers like doing the shuffle dance and stuff and everything. Now everything's got a lot faster. Like for cool underground house, everything's got to like 128 BPM starting point up to maybe like 131.
Yeah.
So that's it. But even in certain sounds getting used a lot, there are you'd have to be super nerdy to know what it is, or I'd have to play you some examples. But there's a lot of tracks at the moment with like a certain preset sound that's come in, and that just means, okay, that's really in vogue at the moment. Like, do you know what I mean? And stuff like just from what you get from promos and what you hear out, like goes off and stuff. So but that always happens. That's always happens. But like I said, it just depends on, like, no different to fashion, no different anything. You get something that's really cool for a while, and then people get bored of it and it moves on again. You know what I mean? So that's always happened.
Yeah, for sure. And any sort of artwork or form of, like you say.
Yeah. And, but I won't say what the sound's like, because I don't want to like throw myself under a bus. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll just allude to is like it's important to notice trends. Do you know what I mean, and stuff, and like to understand and whatever.
I agree as well, and I say this to people as well. What if you want to get on a label and there's a DJ that you like? A lot of new DJs are starting their own labels.
Yep.
And kind of be a first person on that label, like follow the DJ, and when they do like start their own label, kind of jump on that and get their do foot in the door that way. Because again, like Max Chapman's label, one guy, Clinton Holker, All Night was a track back in 2011. He was the first song on Max Chapman's label, you know, and it's very, like you say, back then it was 120, really slow sort of house. And
a lot slower.
And, you know, you look at labels now, they're sort of changed, like you say, with the trends and the years that go on and cycles. But that sort of information I think is vital for people that are getting in now, because like you said previously in the episode, we grew up with that experience from our parents of older music, and people finding, the new generation are finding their music now on social media through short-term video.
Sure.
And do you know what I mean? Like you say, I don't think that some people are knowing the history, like you said earlier, but or you know, getting exposure to it. But what you've explained on the show today, and the people that listen, that's going to benefit them and probably encourage them to go back and look at some songs that are.
I just think it's good, because again is
sorry for waffling on, but
no, it's not. Don't be silly. I just think it's good. I think it's inevitable. It's like, if you really like something, you should want to do your homework on it. You should want to look for stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, how many times have you watched, say, Netflix or watched something and said, "Oh, you watch this movie, we think you will like these," and like, that's terrible. That's not what I say. You kind of have to, like, algorithms are quite clever, but you still have to. Nothing beats like a human interaction.
Yeah.
Because like I said to you, again, going back to it, you can make a song specifically for someone. It's like they still might not like it. So, just do your digging. And it's you, like I say, you used to have to go to a record shop to dig, like you have to go or whatever, or even. But it's so easy now to do it. Like, it's just do it.
Like I see some videos on TikTok.
Trying to go.
Sorry, go on.
What's that? Sorry.
I was going to say, I see videos like on TikTok or Instagram that say these are top 10. DJs will say top 10 bangers, and then they'll play like a mini mix of, you know what I mean?
In a way, that's no different to doing a DJ chart. That's their DJ chart.
True, yeah.
It's just a modern form. Like, because again, DJ charts has been around forever.
For sure.
It's just, I've always loved, and I've always looked at for me, like a good set is like old stuff, current stuff, new, like upcoming stuff maybe, and it's like a blend of it. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, because there's like I say, there's a couple of records that I've played out to like younger people now who are like, say, 19, 20, and they're like, "Oh, what's this song?" Like, "Oh yeah, it came out in 1980, whatever," and it's like, it's older than you. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing. Oh, it's really good. It's like, yeah, there you go. like
I played a track, Dre Beltram, Energy Flash at his set. Over here
like that's timeless. Like, it's timeless.
Like, and everyone's like, "What's this song like?" I was like, "This song's older than me." and you. I said to this person, like, really? I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's a banging track. And like when I was mentioning like the TikTok like top 10, I mentioned it because like you said, time evolves from like the DJ charts, and now it's gone on to, you know, like we used to probably sit up and listen to Pete Tong's Radio 1 Friday night show.
Yeah, sure.
Listen, because you've got on that as well, and Danny Howell's introducing, right, and stuff like that. I mean, they're great.
It's Pete Tong. Pete Tong years ago. Danny Howard's been playing like a lot of my stuff recently. Actually, I've been chatting to him as well about doing some stuff for his label. So I'm trying to work out like just sending him bits and stuff, whatever at the moment, to do something with him, to work with him. But yeah, no, I've seemed to have like some decent support from like the Radio 1 like people.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Like I took a few years out of music, like for like kind of health. I had some health reasons. I need to take time off. Like got back in, and then my first release, like back, like it was like Pete Tong played it, Danny Howard played it, and then Sarah Story played it like 3 weeks in a row, like on Radio 1. So it's just, but like I said, that's not my first rodeo. I've done it for like a long time, so I kind of know, you know. But even then, it's like you never know if people are going to like it or not, whatever. But it's just, if you like it, do it. If you love it, do it, and actually just get stuck in.
Mate, honestly, mate, you sound like you've had the same journey as I have, because I took time out from music for my health and my mental health. I had depression really, really bad at one point.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, and that's all good, man. It's all good. But yeah, I had to pull myself away from everything that I did, because it was just I hit rock bottom for a while, and then but I'm glad you brought it up, because again, like, you know, music is an outlet to sort of cheer you up and bring you up, stuff, you know, and stuff like that. And I hope you're all well anyway. I hope you're
no, thank you, I'm good.
You're fighting fit and everything. But yeah, it's just cool. It's wild. I've never met anyone where they've grown up on an island, they listened to the same music growing up, they did the parties young, and you know, you've kind of pulled away from music for the same sort of reason as well. So it's been refreshing to kind of meet someone that's on the same sort of journey like that. I've not met anyone who I've interviewed.
Very similar, like backstories and stuff and experiences. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing. So again, I can't say it enough. Thank you ever so much for your time and
anytime,
everything.
Mate.
Yeah.